Welcome back to the Crypto World channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is coming into contact with a very important level of support. Definitely make sure you're watching all the way to the end of this video because I'm going to be going over a brand new price pattern on the chart right now, and the fact that the Bitcoin funding rates are actually increasing even though the price is decreasing. This is potentially giving us a warning signal to pay attention to. And just before we jump into it, make sure to drop a like on the video down below. And if you're new to the channel, you might as well subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. But anyway, with all of that out of the way, let's get straight into what this video is about. So right here, we're on the Bitcoin US dollar chart on the 4-hour time frame, and straight away what we can see is, at least at the time of filming this video, Bitcoin is coming into contact with that $60,000 level approximately. And I'll let you guys know all the way back here, the moment we break below this level at around 62,500, then I'd expect Bitcoin to go straight down to 60,000, and that is where we will find our next level of support. And that has played out pretty much exactly. But right now, if we fail to hold that level as support, we actually have another bit of support just below 60,000 in the form of this exponential moving average coming in at around 59,000. And by the way, this exponential moving average is the 100 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. And what we can see previously when we were in this giant uptrend pretty much throughout the entire month of August, Bitcoin saw multiple perfect bounces along this exact EMA along the way up. We had short-term cool-offs along the way, and during these times there was a lot of people flipping more bearish on the Bitcoin price. But for as long as we stayed above this EMA, we were still looking really good here for the uptrend. And so going over to the current Bitcoin price right now, once again, that's coming in at about 59,000. And currently it is still rising to the upside. So if the price remains at around these sort of levels, close to 60,000, then soon enough, this EMA is also going to come in towards 60,000 US dollars. And so basically this little range just here between 59 to 60,000 US dollars is one of the last levels of support for Bitcoin in the short term until we start looking at some other levels like 57K, for example, because we've actually got a lot of buy orders at around 57,500 US dollars, as I covered in yesterday's Bitcoin update video. And also when we're bringing out the Fibonacci retracement tool from this swing low at around 40K all the way up to the all-time high at around 67,000, what we can see here is the 38.2% Fibonacci level coming in at pretty much exactly 57,000. So there's a lot of people focusing on around 57 to 58,000 as a major price target. And usually when the majority of the market focuses towards a specific price target to the downside to then finally enter Bitcoin, that price target simply does not happen, and we usually get a bounce before meeting that price target. There's a lot of people looking towards around 38,000 US dollars as a major price target to the downside, but Bitcoin bottomed out towards 39,500, so we fell short of that price target simply because there was so many people looking at 38,000 as a buying opportunity. And so we could potentially see something similar here where a lot of people are looking towards 57 to 58,000 as a major area of interest for buying into Bitcoin. And if that's the case, as I just said, once again, we might not even make it down towards those lower levels and perhaps get a bounce sometime soon. But basically, it comes down to whether or not Bitcoin is going to hold above this important level of support right here. Because the moment that Bitcoin starts losing this support, then in that case, we could target towards those lower price targets. But right now, Bitcoin is in a little bit of a deciding moment right now, especially with the declining volume that we're currently seeing in the market. Now, this is also due to the fact that we're in a weekend at the moment. Normally, we see lower volume on a weekend, but the volume was declining into the weekend starting from around Thursday. And so usually when we have declining volume, that means that a pretty substantial move is coming sometime soon. And that volatile move will most likely come into play when we're starting the new week, because on the majority of Mondays, that's when we start seeing a little bit more volume coming in here. And so if that volume comes in all at once after we've just been on really low volume, often that can trigger a pretty volatile move. And that's where I want to talk about a potential warning signal that we're currently seeing in the Bitcoin markets. And that potential warning signal that we're seeing is basically a combination between the current pullback in the Bitcoin price and the Bitcoin funding rates. Because straight away, what we're seeing right now today is the fact that the funding rates for Bitcoin have increased since where they were just yesterday. But if you're looking at the Bitcoin price since where we were just yesterday, the price has just about done nothing. In fact, we've seen a small decrease in the Bitcoin price since yesterday. And in most cases, a short-term pullback reduces the Bitcoin funding rates. And that has been what we've seen in the early stages of this pullback. But the fact that we haven't necessarily confirmed a bottom just yet, and we're still technically forming this short-term pullback, combined with the fact that the funding rates are increasing, showing that a lot of people are starting to pile sell into long positions could mean that we could possibly be in for a little bit more of a shakeout in the Bitcoin price. Because for the beginners out there, when the funding rates are pretty positive like what we're seeing right now, then it becomes expensive to maintain a long position. So especially if the Bitcoin price isn't really doing anything too special. So if we're either seeing sideways price action or even downside price action like what we've seen over the past 24 hours, with the recent increase in funding rates, this is not really creating too much of an incentive to go into a long position, which can sometimes act as a little bit of a warning signal, as I just explained. So I'm going to keep a close eye on these funding rates, because if they do end up decreasing again over the next 1 to 2 days, then that is all right. But especially if we see any further increase in the funding rates while the Bitcoin price is not really doing anything too special, then in that case, the longer that this goes on and the higher these funding rates go, the higher risk we have on our hands of potentially some more downside price action. But keep in mind, this downside price action that I'm talking about is literally just in the short term. If you simply zoom out on the chart, what you'll straight away see is the fact that Bitcoin is still in a very strong uptrend. And it was only 4 days ago that Bitcoin broke its all-time high, and we do not see a break above the all-time high in the middle of a bear market. So from my point of view, this short-term pullback is actually giving me a pretty decent buying opportunity before the Bitcoin price continues to explode over the next few months. Even if Bitcoin breaks these short-term support levels and goes a little bit lower, then I'm simply going to be buying some more Bitcoin at cheaper prices. But it's important to mention that I'm not necessarily betting on those cheaper prices. I'm just averaging into the market. So if we see a bounce here, or if we see a bounce at lower prices, either way, I would have accumulated a little bit of Bitcoin at both price ranges. So what are some other important levels to pay attention to? Well, if we see a bounce here, then we've got a decent amount of resistance starting at around 63,000 US dollars approximately. And I already mentioned the initial support levels to the downside for the Bitcoin price. But what would happen if Bitcoin broke all of these important support levels? Well, just talking about a potential bearish scenario, I'm not saying this is definitely going to play out, but what we have here is potentially a small head and shoulders pattern, as you can see. Now, the right shoulder hasn't exactly been much of a right shoulder, I must admit, but we have seen a small bounce off the neckline right here over the past couple of days, which somewhat resembles a right shoulder. And if enough traders out there are looking at this pattern as a head and shoulders pattern, then it can be a self-fulfilling prophecy if enough people are looking at this pattern. And just in the most bearish scenario, once again, I'm not saying that this is definitely going to play out, but the price target for this head and shoulders pattern, if we do end up seeing a strong break to the downside, that's technically coming in towards 53,000 US dollars, but we've got major support at around 54K. Once again, I'm not exactly betting on those prices to the downside, but if we do make it down there, then I would definitely be accumulating a lot more Bitcoin. And I want to hear what you think about some of these price targets. Do you think Bitcoin is about to see a bounce to the upside very soon? Or do you think we could see a little bit more of a dip here in the short term before we bounce later on? I'd be interested to hear what you think about all of that. And make sure to leave a like on the video down below if you enjoyed or if you got something valuable out of this video. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe with notifications turned on for more updates just like this every single day. I really do appreciate all of your support on the channel at the moment. I can't thank you guys enough. Honestly, we're getting closer towards 80,000 subscribers, and that is just crazy that I'm even saying those numbers. Seriously, I appreciate every single one of you. And just before clicking off for the new viewers on the channel, if you haven't seen these uploads, I definitely recommend checking them out. I've got a trading tutorial video and a passive income video. So if you're serious about making money in crypto, definitely check out one of those uploads if you haven't already. But anyway, that is really everything I have to say for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video.